Hello, I'm Von Toba Terry, your host at the Go Give Grow podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We've been, over the last 9 episodes, going through different topics centered around helping you go toward your dreams, give in every sphere of your life, and grow, whether it's in business or personally or professionally. Uh, this time, over the last couple episodes, we focused on a few keywords. First one was coin. You have to go back to episode 8 if you want to hear about that. The second one was coincide. And then this one is coincidence. And the idea of coincidence is something that has fascinated me recently. And I may do a series on this just to sort of unpack it, because I found a lot of interesting examples of things that some would say were a coincidence, where you might look back and say, well, there may have been a design to that, or some divine plan, might I venture to say. The word coincidence emerged in the 1600s in France to describe an exact correspondence in substance or nature. It is a noun, and it wasn't until the 1640s that the word coincidence began to mean events occurring at the same time without a clear explanation or connection. That definition came from the writings of Sir Thomas Browne, according to Etom Online. He had written a letter to a friend. And actually, that writing is called A Letter to a Friend. I consider coincidence not to be some paranormal, spooky stuff, and it's not a nod to fatalism where everything is all set in stone and we have no free will in terms of how it happens. I think that, some of it is just probability. For example, the probability that if you talk to enough people, you'll meet someone with your same birthday, being, 1 out of 365 chance for that. With give or take with some mathematical adjustments. Or, sometimes it's just a divine order. My brother actually shared with me on Facebook that one time he had a dream that the Grim Reaper was coming to his bedroom door. And right before he was about to wake up, I turned on the light and woke him up for school. And I was like, that's a coincidence. It's weird, but that's a coincidence. And one of my fraternity brothers from Alpha Phi Alpha, Jay Young, he told me that he once sent a letter to one of our fraternity brothers, and that same person texted him at that exact moment. How do those things happen? For me and my wife, Sykelia, when we first met, she asked me about my last name, and I told her my last name was Terry. And come to find out, her godmother and godfather, their name, they went by, she called them Mother Terry and Daddy Terry. We didn't find out until later that Daddy Terry was born in Meridian, Mississippi, which is the same Meridian, Mississippi that my dad was born in. That city is a small town in Mississippi that the population hasn't gone above, 45, 50,000 people since the 1920s. What are the odds? We ended up falling in love and getting married, and we have this connection, not blood, relative connection, that, now she's a Terry. Those kind of things happen, and you're just like, how? How is that possible? I'll give you some famous examples of coincidence from history, and we're going to tie this into how we go, give, and grow here in a moment. Did you know that Thomas Jefferson and John Adams died on the 50th anniversary of the U.S. independence, July 4th, 1826? They died only a few hours apart. I found that really interesting. Also, Abraham Lincoln's assassin, John Wilkes Booth, had a brother who saved the life of Abraham Lincoln's oldest son less than a year before. So, you had one brother take a life, one brother save a life. Coincidence? And also, around every 75 years, Halley's Comet passes Earth, and Mark Twain was born and died, as he predicted, during the years that this occurred, from his birth date to his death date. Coincidence? Okay, so every episode we're going to pick up on some movie or TV series, and this time I thought about something recent, which is Loki. So spoiler alert if you haven't seen Loki on Disney+, but Loki, the villain of the original Avengers movie, Thor's mischievous brother, stars in this journey through time and space. So the show introduces the concept of a sacred timeline, which the Time Variance Authority, the TVA, manages. And we discover later on that this divine timeline, this sacred timeline, is managed by the one who remains. Now, I had some issues with how they presented this, with giving my faith and potential blasphemy of the concept. But since it's fiction, I could see it as entertainment. But the major question raised by it all for me was it coincidence or was it planned all along? That had to be the question that the characters had in their mind, because you have Loki and Sylvie who, you figure, well, was it a coincidence that they both ended up meeting when they did? And it actually isn't. The one who remains knew what was going to happen the whole time, up to a point. And that was just interesting to me. I think that villain is likely to become Kang, who will be the master villain in the upcoming Ant-Man film Quantumania. And as we go down this rabbit hole, I figured out and I learned and researched that in quantum physics, coincidence counting is a technique used to experiment with testing quantum entanglements. And I'm like, okay, so you have what seemed like coincidence all through the Loki TV series actually be, predetermined by this villain, master villain. But then, that connected me to this idea of quantum physics and, the quantum realm in the Ant-Man film series. And, basically coincidence counting tests the physical properties of two particles that are entangled after being created from the same source of energy. And here's where I made that connection. So, in a sense, a coincidence, events happening with no clear explanation for why they occur at the same time. For example, I was in church on Sunday and my cousin Janita called me right after I scrolled past a message that she had. Now here's the thing. Why was I looking at my messages in church? I took my son to the bathroom and he was taking a long time. He had to do that once. Okay. So I'm just looking at my phone, see a message, and then she calls me right then and there. How weird is that? Coincidence? So, going back to quantum entanglements, is it possible that I believe that we have a divine creator. I have faith in that creator, and that is it possible that we all have a relationship, some sort of quantum entanglement in our spiritual nature? Not talking any magical things or supernatural things. I'm talking spiritual, the spirit realm. Is it possible that there's entanglements there that because of the divine nature of our creator being all in all and through all, we're connected? Everything is connected. Is it possible? That's the question that I ask, and I think it is. It's possible that we're all connected. And I'll come back to that in a future episode. But right now, I want to talk about an incidence of coincidence with our business. So one time my wife and I were at a barbecue with our friend Kareem and his wife Kit. And we were sitting in the garage, plates in lap. And I normally don't just talk to strangers, but I started talking to the lady sitting next to me. And, I just so happened to ask her where she worked. And she said, JCPenney. And I told her about our business. At the time, we were selling lingerie and skincare. And she said, well, I know the lingerie buyer at JCPenney. I'm sure I could connect you. So I said, oh, that would be amazing. And we got her contact information. I kid you not. A few days later, my wife had a meeting with the buyer at JCPenney. A week after that, we had an order from JCPenney. Now, the thing is, we had another department store that we worked with that took a year to make that happen. But what were the chances we would sit down in the garage eating barbecue sauce dripping off of our fingers, and we'd meet someone who could put us in touch with the exact person we needed to meet so that we could get another major customer? Is it coincidence? I don't know. My last example, because we have to talk about giving back. As it relates to coincidence, a few weeks ago, Tom's Trust, a charity in Cambridge, over in Europe that supports families with children that have brain tumors, uncovered a signed photo of Princess Diana, a few days before what would have been her 60th birthday. And then the finding of the painting photo also coincided with the 10th anniversary of the charity. Now, the photo is being donated or auctioned to raise money. What are the chances, the coincidence that they would find this photo that I'm sure is very valuable? It's very rare. A photo of Princess Diana that was signed by her right before what would have been her 60th birthday. They're about to unveil a statue in England of Princess Diana. Her sons are there for the unveiling. Is it coincidence? So, as you go, give, and grow, just think about those times where things just so happen to happen some sort of way. And ask yourself why. And I'm sure you can go down the rabbit hole I went down. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Contact me on Instagram at Vontoba or Twitter at Vontoba. And I'm your host. Hopefully you join us for the next episode. And tell your friends about this. If you know anyone who's going somewhere or wants to go somewhere, someone who's giving back or wants to give back in a greater way, or someone who wants to grow in every area of their life, share this podcast with them. I'm Vontoba Terry. You be blessed.